This is MSR TV6 15 Minutes News. In the headlines, concrete terrace in Grand Cars collapsed. Another roadblock by heavy equipment workers. Death toll rises from Ebola epidemic. These stories with much more details coming up right after this commercial.
I love MSR, simply the best.
MSR Cable TV, simply the best.
A collapsed terrace of a building overlooking Grand Cars Beach, although did not injure anyone, has caused some damages to part of the adjacent Love Beach Restaurant Hotel. MSR team is live on the beach during the cleanup in order to start rebuilding process. Presently, the work is being done. No one has been damaged or injured in this collapse. And as we can see, it's being worked on. The pompiers and the gendarmes came, make sure everything was in order. And right now, the construction for repairing it is now in effect. Once again, the terrace collapsed, but no one was injured here on the beach in Grand Cars. Other reports reaching the newsroom stated that the matter has been taken to court by the owner of the adjacent Love Beach Bar, Restaurant and Hotel, who is said to have been having some disagreement for some time now with the owner of the terrace which collapsed. Another partial blockage was put in place on Tuesday by BTP heavy equipment owners in the middle of Marigot. According to one of the heavy equipment owners, the roadblock was in protest of a bid which was not retained. However, work is still being carried out on that project. Here is Mr. Frank Viotti to give more details on the partial road blockage.
I'll explain in 2 words what's going on. It's a movement by the heavy equipment owners who have bid on a certain amount of projects and who have not been retained. These projects are contested now for the last months. And actually, this project that started this morning is part of those projects that were contested. And this project is still today in front of the courts. And our policy is to say it's not normal that the job goes on while being still in courts. So we are not blocking, we just given a summons, tell them we do not agree with what's going on, stop the work, let the courts roll, and when the courts are over, then we go on from there. But you cannot have the courts contesting and, on the other hand, work going on. So that's the holdback for today.
MSR understood the project which is now being carried out is a sewage system being put into place from Marigot down to Sandy Ground, but that also the heavy equipment owners who are protesting was once contracted by the same company, Jetelec, who is financed 80% by Europeans fund.
I suggest the blockage is because they want Jetelec to stop working at St. Martin. But I understand that Jetelec, it was a appel d'offre. Jetelec won the appel d'offre, and they did the we do the sous-traitance with my company, which is Antoine Transport. Okay. I always say, and I will repeat it again, I am for that St. Martin should belong to the St. Martiners, first of all. And once we are competent to do any work here in St. Martin, I think St. Martin company is supposed to do it. Now, they are blocking the street, but they are not obstructing me for the time being. So for now, I have no complaint to say to really say that I really can't say they're blocking me now. Yeah, I am here doing my work, and they doing their thing over there. As you see, this is my my machine here, and the men's here, right here working. Yeah, and like I say, I'm doing.
You're working with the Guadeloupe company?
Well, no, like I say, the Apple Dove that was sent out, they win the Apple Dove, and how we say in French, they suited the job to me.
Okay, so,
yeah.
So actually you are St. Martin are working with them?
Of course, yeah. All my guys and from here too, yeah. This job was an Apple Dove from ASSM. Jetelec won the Apple Dove, right? And they did the sous-traitance. I've been doing it for years with them. They do the sous-traitance with me, which means I'm the one who they pay to do the work. Now, I don't quite feel happy that, St. Martin's back in St. Martin's. But there's a problem that's supposed to be fixed so that this don't happen. I do believe that our government is supposed to make sure, I'm not saying they're not doing it, but they're supposed to make sure that St. Martin companies come first. But like I said, this is a very complicated thing. Appel-Duff is a very complicated thing. And I think once we are up to par, I don't see why we can't do the work. Yeah, because there's a lot of company here on this island that is very, competent and can do the work. Yeah.
MSR Cable is presently busy upgrading and making TV and internet more enjoyable for its clients. MSR is locally owned and is always striving to do what is best to please its clients. Here is Mr. Jean Marcoux, CEO and owner of MSR, to elaborate more on the upgrading.
Currently doing now, we did the first half, which is lower down in the St. James, but now the second half, we started had the construction work going on. We started to do over the road and everything. We have put in different pipes to pull our cable, and right now we're currently now putting the cable on the ground.
Okay, and is there any advantage to put it from taking it from overhead?
There's a lot of advantage. One of the advantages that we have that we mostly concentrate on in St. Martin's hurricane. When hurricane come, that we don't have to replace cable and move pole that falling down on people's cars and people's house. So it gives us a lot of advantage, and both way also financially too, because when your cable fall down, you have to replace it. You just cannot fix it because the time frame to be back up, it doesn't permit you to be fixing cable. You have to replace every single cable that is there. Well, MSR is currently now for the last, I would say 8 years, working on putting all of its infrastructure on the ground. And the French Quarter area we lastly developed and built, 90% of our infrastructure up there is on the ground. So if we have a hurricane today and tomorrow, the French Quarter area, we don't really have to hurt our head about that because it will be back up very, very quick. Okay, I will say we are 80% coverage on the island. There are some areas that we are not there as yet, and the area that we are not there as yet is the area like the lowlands area, and also the what you call up there to the head part of French Quarter, which we call Cowlita area. We are not up there as yet, but we will be covering the whole 100% of the island. Most of the area, I wouldn't say everywhere as yet, but most of the area that we have cable, you can get internet. French Quarter can get internet 100%. Anywhere in French Quarter that the cable is at, you can get internet because French Quarter was built with all the new technology. But like the Margaret area, in certain area like Rambo, and Green Cards, some of those areas have certain areas still cannot get internet as yet, but we are working on that because the infrastructure was there already, and now with the new infrastructure we are replacing and taking down and putting up new infrastructure.
As the world death toll due to the Ebola outbreak climbs nearly 900, concerns mount that the epidemic is spreading faster than effects to contain it. Millions of dollars are being pledged to help West African countries, which is the hardest hit with this deadly disease. Here is a full report from the Inside Report.
Ebola is transmitted by direct contact with blood, bodily fluids and tissues of infected animals and people. Most people complain of having a headache, fever and a sore throat. This is followed by vomiting and diarrhea, among other symptoms. Ebola can potentially kill up to 90% of the people it infects. Health workers, family members and people in close contact with victims are at a higher risk of contracting it. There is no vaccine or treatment available at the moment.
The announcement of a second Ebola victim in Nigeria is raising fears that the 7-month-long epidemic in 3 West African nations could spread in the continent's most populous nation.
There is a second case of Ebola virus disease, and why we're able to know is because government has put in place structures, strategy to detect cases. This is coming from one of the cases under surveillance, and that's why we're able to pick it early enough.
The first victim collapsed on arrival in the city and was put in isolation at a hospital. Had he spent even a few hours outside the airport, he might have spread his illness to more people, many of them impossible to trace in Lagos with its endless sprawl of tin roof shacks and apartments. The government has also taken its campaign against the disease to the churches. With a knack for drawing huge crowds, authorities also see them as conducive environments for the virus to spread. Some were warned not to hold so-called healing sessions that could attract Ebola patients from outside the country. Information about the virus has also been widely broadcast on radio and television stations, as well as social media.
We've opened accounts on Twitter, on Facebook. We have a website now devoted to for information on Ebola, www.ebolaalert.org. It's functional, and what is so good about it is that it's an interactive website.
Experts, however, say rituals and traditions on handling of the dead may prove to be an obstacle in stopping the spread of Ebola.
It has been really challenging for West African countries like Sierra Leone to convince people not to really take care of the body of their relatives. It has been very challenging. 60% of infections are due to body-to-body, humans-to-humans contamination.
The epidemic has already killed almost 900 people in Sierra Leone, Guinea and Liberia. The World Health Organization says the outbreak is moving faster than efforts to control it, warning that with more infections comes a greater risk of the virus evolving into deadlier mutations.
Mr. Gregory Hartel, Chief of Public Relations with World Health Organization, WHO, gave elaborate assessment on the seriousness of the Ebola disease.
Certainly in the three countries, and especially in Sierra Leone and Liberia, we're seeing numerous new cases each day. And so this is a serious threat. And the fact that it's so serious has led us and the presidents of the three countries concerned to announce a series of pretty extraordinary measures to try to combat this outbreak. We have asked for $100 million in funding. And you know that the World Bank has also announced that they're providing funding, and the presidents of the three countries have announced a series of extraordinary measures. And we hope that this will signal, and not just signal, but mean the turning of the tide on the ground. We need a lot more bodies on the ground, maybe hundreds of specialized health workers and other public health specialists. Well, one of the big challenges of this outbreak is the fact that this comes in three countries which relatively recently went through conflict and where the health infrastructure was in many instances destroyed. And there isn't a lot of health infrastructure in some places. So we're having really to start from scratch. And as you say, what we need to do, it's well known how to control an Ebola outbreak. What needs to be done, though, is more difficult when there is the lack of infrastructure there, and also the lack of the understanding on the part of the local community as to what we need their help with. Because if we can identify cases and all their probable contacts and follow them for 21 days and isolate them properly and protect the healthcare workers properly who are looking after confirmed or potential cases, this is something which we eventually can stop and bring to an end. But it is very difficult under the circumstances which exist in the three countries.
This has been MSR TV6 15 Minutes News. We want to thank you for viewing. Until next time.